Hey, my name is Sean, and this is a quick how to play video for the Mint 10 tile laying game, A Park in the Desert. 1 to 2 player game where each player will be building their own little desert park in front of them. This will be the quick how to play video where I won't be going to the solo mode or much scoring examples, but this should be enough to get you going. So we already have the game all set up with each player having their own starting desert in front of them. We also have all of the water cubes in the middle. And then at the top here, we have the round track with one water cube placed into the first phase space of the first round, the score track, and then the scoring rules cards, which show how all of the terrains will score for the game. Next to the score track, each player will put their player cube of their selected color, and the unchosen cube will go to one of the players being a first player marker. We also have the park cards all shuffled up here, and we've drawn 4 for the first draft row for the first phase. It's now time for the first player to take their draft from the row. And so they're going to pick one of these 4 cards and add it to their park according to the placement rules. And so when adding a card to your park, you're just going to put it onto the park so that it touches one pre-existing terrain, or you may cover one terrain already on the park. And so that's basically how you place a card. However, if you ever place a card that has a baseball field or these grass terrains, you're going to have to take one of these water cubes and place it onto the grass. So baseball fields and grass terrains are always going to need water cubes. And if there is a grass terrain that is next to an already watered grass, you do not have to water this grass. This is how you can save on water and get your water to sprinkle over into other grass terrains. So we'll put a water cube there, and this grass is next to that water, we won't need one. So now we can go ahead and take this card here, but I do want to show you one more placement rule where you can't place paths next to other paths like this if they won't connect. You got to make sure your paths connect. And so that's how you will be able to place your cards out and how you can start to build your park. After this draft row has been taken, we will move the cube into the next phase for round 1. And now we've gone into the next phase, we will draw a new row of 4 cards for the next draft. Now in this draft row, the player to the right here without the player cube will be able to take the first pick. After this row has been emptied and we go into the third phase, this player will now be able to take the first pick for the third draft row. Once you've gone through 3 phases of drafting, that will be the end of the round. At the end of each round, you will perform the end of round scoring. At the top of the first scoring card here indicates the end of round scoring conditions, and you will get 1 point for each desert that is in your park. And so a desert is either a connected group of deserts or even just a single desert on its own. So the player on the right here has this group of deserts. This just makes up one desert, and these 2 are separated for 2 separate deserts. So these would be, this would be 2 points, being 1 desert here and 1 desert here. But after that, you will be losing 1 point for each water cube that you have. So for every water cube you have in your park, you will also be going back down on your score track. The points won't ever go to negative though, but you can end up going back down to 0. Once the end round scoring is complete, we will then go to the next round of the game, shifting the water cube into the first phase spot of the next round, and we can also then draw a new row of 4 cards to start the next round. At the start of each round, you want to make sure you pass the first player cube to the other player. So now this player will be going first at the start of this round, then this player will be going first in the second phase, and then back to the first player marker player for first and the third phase. The game will then continue as normal, going through the 3 phases for round 2 and round 3, making sure you do end round scoring at the end of round 2, and end round scoring again at the last round for 3 end round scorings throughout the game. And after you've done all 3 rounds of the game is the end of the game, and you will perform your final scoring, counting up all of the different terrain types for the park. And so you got all these different terrains that fill up the park, being things from baseball field to tennis courts and basketball courts. And you also have these paths which have desert and grass behind them. And so each of these have their own scoring conditions which will earn you points throughout the game as you build up your park. And so if you build up your baseball fields into these different formations of diamonds, you can get a certain amount of points for having more baseball fields next to each other. If you also put your courts next to each other, being your tennis courts and basketball courts, they will earn points for being adjacent to each other, and you will get more points if they match. For the playgrounds, you want to make a big group of playgrounds, which are these red ones here. You also want to surround each individual groups of playgrounds. For every individual playground terrain surrounded, you'll get 3 points. You'll also get pretty big points for having more grass groups. Every group of grass that you have, you'll get points depending on the chart here. So for example, if you have a group of 3 grass and then another group of 2, you'd score 5 for your 3 and then 3 for your 2. So you're scoring for every group of grass that you have. To score for your path terrains, you want to connect your paths to 2 different sports. And the longer your path is, the more points you'll score, because you'll get 1 point for every point of terrain along that path. Lastly is the water cubes. Whoever have used the least amount of water throughout the game will get whatever is left over here in points. So say at the end of the game, there's this much left over. This player has used less water than the player to the right. So that means they'll be getting 6 points at the end of the game. And that's a quick run through of how you play A Park in the Desert. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching.